Hi, and welcome to another Better Conversations podcast with the founders. We are here to discuss the everyday things we see and apply our youthful wisdom to share our thoughts.
Today we'll be doing an interview and learning about Tavian's marriage. The reason I believe it's a topic of interest is because Tavian is actually what you call a young couple, which is very rare in today's society.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to get to know his thoughts behind marriage, getting married young, the benefits, the roadblocks, the things that make it arduous. Is it worth it? So first of all, would you give us a bit of feedback? As
Yeah,
in, sorry, not feedback. What do you call it?
just like a general background.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
background. That's it.
So, I guess I am definitely what you would call a young couple in today's era. I think the average age to get married now is like maybe 30 something. I got married at 23, and I was engaged at 22. Definitely definitely a young couple. My wife is very similar age to me as well. So we're both in the same age bracket as well. We actually met at church through a mutual friend. And yeah, from there we have always been sort of like going to events and stuff, like bumping into each other. And then basically I guess at some point we started like speaking to each other, and eventually we turned into a romantic relationship. I guess like being married young, I think definitely initial, especially in this day and age, initial feedback is like uh, that you hear a lot is like you shouldn't do it. Like it's quite a large investment, quite a large commitment, and you could definitely get like a lot of maybe your parents or like people outside your circle or even inside your circle as well, like commenting, saying like, "Are you sure you're ready? Are you sure you want to do that?" kind of thing. I found it interesting that a lot of the people that were most cautious weren't married. So that's that's one thing that was one thing that I observed. And like a lot of the older individuals that were definitely like guiding and like saying like, "Are you sure you're ready?" kind of thing, that were married, it was more of a like, "Are you sure?" kind of thing. Like it's not easy. It is a challenging thing to do, I would say. Uh, and I'm sure we're gonna get into it with the questions you ask as well. But like the relationship itself, um, especially once you are married, like there are priorities. It's a lot more heavy management than just like, if you want to call like a standard maybe relationship or like a friendship kind of thing. Like a lot of people will say like, "Oh yeah, like marriage is about being best friends." Um, my experience is yes, but also there's a lot of other things that come with it. So like it's a lot more of a complex relationship. And you definitely, I would say, have to be ready for it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, then that's piqued my interest to the first question. Then you said
Mm.
that it changes and becomes one of the most complex relationships that you have. So, what are some of the changes that you've experienced from, especially not just from being a single guy
Mm.
living your life in your early 20s or teens to marriage, but more specifically, what's changed that from when you guys were a couple,
Mm.
boyfriend and girlfriend, to then being married? Like, what changed there?
Yeah. So like definitely when you finally get married, the most significant change is, and it's on both sides, the time you spend with your friends and family, like even while you were, just casual boyfriend and girlfriend. Like there is, because you're now living together. So I think I should probably put that in there as well. I'm Christian, so I wasn't actually living with my wife before I got married. So because you actually now combine your lives into one home, you do spend a lot more time with that person, which means that there's a lot less time for friends and family, and especially for us as well, because a lot of our friends and family are actually based in London. I'm based in Bristol. It is definitely like a lot harder as well. That was already like quite a complex thing to tackle, but now you've got marriage in that. You definitely spend a lot more a lot more time with your partner. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, I would say. And again, it goes down to ultimately, like, you spend a ton on the wedding. It costs a lot to get divorced. You probably heard a lot of that. So at the end of the day, there's a lot riding on making sure that this relationship actually is solidified. And that's probably what is scary about marriage in general, that you know that it's a significant investment. Most of the friends that you pick up, family members, you kind of inherit it as you go along life, kind of thing. Like, my closest friends today were my closest friends when I was younger as well. Like, I didn't have to put so much effort and investment into that. Same with, like, you don't pick your mum or your dad, you don't pick your family members. Like, they automatically love you, right? But like, when it comes to an actual marriage, you're constantly building on that every single day, and little things can disrupt it. Not even the big things, like little things like, you get home a little bit late. That could mean that you end up having dinner a little bit late, and like all these little intricacies, because you're building a life together with that person. Like, all of these little intricacies can lead to changes, and I think people don't realize, like, it's the small details that you actually really have to pay attention to, and a lot more attention to when you're in your married life than with your friends. Maybe like missing a call, for example, isn't as significant with your friend, but it would be quite significant potentially if your wife was, in danger or needed you, for example. So like, you can see there's a lot more weight, I guess, riding on that relationship. So you do have to commit a lot more time to it. I would say the change, like, from, because as you said, as we went through our relationship as well, I think we naturally progressed, I guess, into more seriousness. And to be honest, if I'm giving like relationship advice, like, hopefully that's what you would hope from, like, your relationship as well. You should hopefully start to progress towards more challenging topics, and actually trying to do a lot more with your partner, have a lot more serious conversations. And again, that does take a lot more time. And you're two different people. You have two different thought processes. You never find. I don't believe in that whole perfect person that's just going to bounce back and forth with you perfectly. You're both going to have differences. You both come from different experiences in life. So like, you have to work through all of that. And with a friend, you just accept it, right? You're just like, oh yeah, that's my friend. Like, that's what makes the friendship fun. But with a marriage, it does make it fun because it adds its nuances, but it is something that you also have to work through as well to actually bring two lives together. So yeah.
I see. So maybe some people are thinking this, right? If you guys are, because you see this a lot with older couples, especially from what I see in America and like in like the not South America but
Southern,
of
yeah.
USA. But now, because you guys are married and you spend so much time together, that these guys actually figure out times where they get time to themselves and do things separately. And it's actually kind of, let's say, the reverse of what you say, where instead of, now they're married and there's less time, let's not say less time for friends, but they spend so much time together that they actually appreciate seeing their friends more and actually try to make more of an effort to see their friends or family, because you see your wife every day. So do you think that contrast of approach is maybe because you're still like a newlywed or still very young relationship? Can you see it changing in the future?
100%. Like, location is definitely a big thing. So there was a stat that I was reading up on, that most people actually end up going back to or living in the same place as they grew up. Even if they like travel around the world and all that sort of stuff, right? Like, a lot of, because at the end of the day, you have your family there, you have your friends there. Like, that's the reality.
Wherever you grew up, that'd be mad if you back there.
Yeah. You probably don't, not like exactly where you grew up, in it. I'm not going back there, in it, but but like but like in the area, let's say, or like close to the area. Because at the end of the day, that is like where your network is. And that is where you feel most safe in some sense. Like, you do have a childhood attachment to it. So actually, most of the couples that we speak to, a lot of them have long-term plans to move closer back to family. And it's the same with us. And actually, every time we do get the chance to, you know, come see friends, come see family, like we do really, really treasure it a lot. Like my wife always feels like really heartbroken when she has to like say goodbye to her family. I always feel like super upset when I'm on the train back from like London to Bristol kind of thing.
Mm.
Like there is a natural pull to want to be closer to family as well. And I think location definitely plays a massive part in that. And 100%, if we were closer, we would definitely, I think, make more time. And that is really the plan, I guess, long term as well. We're only sort of
It's not even just time; it's the money too. Like for to pay for the
exactly,
train and stuff every
yeah,
time. Yeah,
yeah. The paying for the train,
it's British prices.
exactly, exactly, bro. That train is yeah. That's a whole nother topic on the train prices, bro. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like 100%, we definitely have long term plans to move closer to where our families are, especially when you start thinking about like family planning, grandkids. Like you don't want your grandkids to be like
Mm.
super far away from like their grandparents. So long term, we definitely have plans to move closer to actually spend more quality time. And I think what you said is right, actually. Like what we've found as well is that being able to plan things in with friends. Like obviously I still have some friends in Bristol, and Fauna has friends in Bristol as well. So like we actually find that actually taking conscious time away from each other, whether that's like 2 hours after work. So like normally what happens is we would come back from work, we eat, and then like, we have a little bit of time where we would like, you know, spend spend time together, and then we would actually probably spend individual time kind of thing. And like actually consciously spending time like individually is also very helpful and healthy, whether that's going out with friends and so forth as well. So yeah.
I find what you say interesting. What you said about moving back, um, naturally moving back towards family,
Mm.
especially with the family planning, because I was out in London last night with one of my friends, and we came across this bartender
Oh yeah.
who his wife is super busy.
Mm.
She has like 3 jobs. That's her choice, as in she has her corporate job, she has a job that she gets like, sponsorship from a company,
Oh wow.
and then she teaches yoga for fun, something like that.
Mm.
And he was doing a few other multiple things. He's stopped one for now, but he's like doing 2 or 3 things still. They both of them are very busy.
Mm.
And I was like, when I've come across those types of situations before, from my experience, people normally have to have a nanny because he has two
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
So I asked him, do you have a nanny? And he said, no, they bought their flat in South London
Mm.
and they bought it near family. So his aunt is 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
And he said that's super helpful.
Mm.
His brother's around the corner, his aunt's 2 minutes away, his mum doesn't live far.
Exactly.
And that is what allows him and his wife to be able to do these things. And
Yeah.
then obviously they take it in turn with the other siblings. Sometimes
Mm.
they have to look after the kids. Sometimes the kids will go there. But he said that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
find that
Yeah.
interesting that you pointed it out again today, that you're actually consciously thinking of that.
Yeah, it's a conscious thought. And like especially as we get older and as you start thinking about kids and all of these things as well, it's like it just makes way more sense. Like even when it comes to like holidays, right? Like if you're both working, right? Like kids get way more holidays than you get at work. So at some
Mm.
point you're gonna need help. Like between you both, you don't have the same amount of holidays as your kids. Like at some point you need help, whether that's from family members. And if you don't feel, you know, like your friends maybe in let's say where I am now in Bristol would be willing to, or you feel like it's a bit too far stretched to ask of them to do that, then you're gonna need to think about, well, how do we actually balance that up? And I would feel
Mm.
way more comfortable, obviously, calling my mum to say, "Oh yeah, mum, can you come round for a couple of days, look after the grandkids, for example," than someone else. So it's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's that type of thing as well, where I think moving closer. I'm fortunate enough, I would say, and to be honest, Fauna's fortunate enough as well that we actually both of our families live close enough to London, and to be honest, London isn't a bad city to work in as well. So like, I think I'm fortunate enough there, but I do think it's harder for couples that are really like far stretched apart. And to be honest, I've spoken to couples like that as well, where like one family, like one side of the family is Spanish, or like
I see.
so
Yeah.
like they have to go to Spain, or like or like somewhere else. It's like
It would just be
it's
hard,
always
even if one side of the family is in Manchester, one side of the
mm,
family is in London.
exactly,
That's still really
exactly,
far.
exactly. And that's where it does get into the whole like family politics as well. Because like
Mm,
some family, like one side of the family is just gonna see their grandkids way more. One side of the family is just gonna see like they're just gonna see more Christmases, for example, just because of the location. So
yeah.
it's one thing that is actually one of the surprises actually that I didn't actually think about too much. Like location is actually so important as well. Like you're kind of fortunate if you're both from the same area. You both basically have the same connection. But if not, it does make things a bit trickier.
So then I'm asking for the people who aren't even in a relationship, right?
Mm,
Let's say such as myself, who we are a bit more single-minded and definitely a
yeah,
bit
yeah.
more selfish because we don't have to think of someone else in our lives all the time.
Mm,
Do you think there's a possibility then that you'd ever work abroad, or is that door kind of completely shut, like for the next 20, 30 years?
would I work abroad? You said.
Or would you move abroad because of work? Like, could you see yourself,
Yeah.
a headhunter calls you from Japan or
Mm,
South Africa or Morocco or Brazil
yeah,
and
yeah.
says, Tavian, we like your work. We've spoken to one
Mm,
of your ex-managers from this company. We want to bring you through. Here's a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fantastic package. We're going to triple your salary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You look at the possibilities. Turns out your wife can also get a decent job nearby,
Mm,
slightly more than her current salary too. House might even be paid for.
yeah, yeah.
Is that would you be like that's completely off the table because
Mm.
we're family planning and we need our family close by?
So no, it's really interesting, isn't it? Like these are the type of questions that you ask, isn't it? Like even in your marriage, right? Like you're almost like future planning everything, and you're like that's why it just takes so much time because you got two people trying to go on the same thing. I think it's actually points to one of the questions that I think that we had pre-planned anyway, which was like, what is the most challenging thing that I've had to face? I think it links into that, which is like joining our ambitions together is is extremely challenging, I think, for everyone in general, and was extremely challenging. Like we're both in different sectors, both in different fields, and to answer your question, you have to find ways around it to make it work, really. I think right now, in the stage we're at, for example, like family planning, all of these things, like thinking about like the next 5 years, like I don't think I would take that offer. For example, I would actually take a sacrifice and be like, you know what, like if the kids are young, like it's much nicer to be closer to family, have the support, XYZ. And that's where you start making sacrifices, I guess, like for the family, isn't it? Like we've all come across mums and dads that have had to make sacrifices in their career or like where they live, like because there's better schools in this area. So I've just moved to that area. Like that's where you start like making sacrifices in general. But one of the things that we have done is we haven't tied ourselves down to an area yet, which allows for me, because I'm a bit more of the manic one, I would say, in terms of my career, in terms of like the opportunities that I can get and jumping around. We haven't tied ourselves down to an actual area, so we actually haven't bought a house yet. So
Mm,
we've moved two times already, and we plan to move probably at least another two times as well within the next probably 5 to 7 years. And that's just because of like my career ambitions and the potential opportunities that I can get, and also for my partner as well. So it's like when you see that as okay, this is like the next 5 to 7 years in terms of careers, um, then probably you make decisions like to suit that, I guess. So you become
mm,
so for example, we're a lot more flexible. So if someone did call me up like in America and said, yeah, we're tripling your package or whatever, like I would say after the family planning and stuff. I think again it's like as long as your partner is comfortable with that and you guys have discussed that, then it's definitely possible. I think that's really the key. It's being able to join your ambitions together and basically putting everything, all possibilities out on the table, kind of thing. And it's quite strategic in terms of the way you have to plan it, but it can work.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna go back to the actual questions we planned. Those are the
Yeah, yeah,
questions that were coming, like just off my
yeah. No,
mind
no, but it's
as you're
good.
talking.
It's
Yeah.
good question though, because like that one has been a thought though. Like what if I did get a call up, like, and I just had to move, and I'm fortunate enough to have a partner that is used to moving quite a lot, so
Mm.
she would be happy to like live in another country.
So
Whereas,
once it's pre-family planning, you'd
mm,
consider it, but
yeah,
post-family planning, probably not.
yeah, I would say so.
I see.
And I
That
think
makes
like
sense.
I think it's also like if it is post, it's like then you have to start thinking about, well, how old are the kids and like what schools are they
I
in, and
see.
are you
Yeah,
happy to move them? Like you got to juggle in a few more things then, because then you got like not just you two, but you've actually got kids to manage as well.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Interesting. Okay. So what's been the thing that surprised you the most
Mm. Yeah. So like,
that you yourself didn't anticipate
yeah.
going into the
So
going into the
I
marriage?
would say like the thing that was definitely surprising was like how much planning you actually do. So I would say we were already sort of getting to that point, and you feel a little bit of that, like when you're planning a wedding or when you're planning to propose or when you're planning your holiday or whatever. But you don't actually realize like how much time you actually do have to spend planning, whether it's finances, even a trip, a family trip, um, planning like in terms of careers. Like you spend so much time actually planning, and I would say one of the things that actually I would advise, especially if you're a young couple or any couple, to be honest, like, or if you're just trying to get into a relationship, like, you have to make sure that you can actually like work together with this person, and it does mean like actually work together. Like if you were to put like a task in front of you to solve, like, would you actually be able to solve it together? Um, and I think that's something that's definitely come out as a big surprise, how much planning you actually do. A lot of I'd say a lot of our time, like in our discussions, it's not all like planning, obviously, but a lot of it is like what's coming up, what's happening next month. And I can imagine how, and to be honest, I hear it all the time as well, like at work and stuff with people that have kids. It's all planning. Like, how do we manage going to parents' evening here and then like getting there, and then like you actually have to be able to almost run your own little business, like run your own like little unit together, like as a family, because there's a lot of things that come up. And as a single person, it's quite easy because you're quite flexible, right? You could be like, yeah, Tuesday I'll be there. But once you add in another person and you have routines and things set in place, and then you chuck in finances as well, it all definitely, yeah, it's a lot of planning. Yeah,
Fair enough. I don't think that's something that people think about, the
yeah,
amount of planning and consideration that goes into it. People
yeah,
just think, you know, but I guess for some people, maybe it's not as conscious
mm.
because they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
just happens.
Yeah, yeah, it does become natural, I would say. Like, definitely at the start it was less natural. Now it's definitely like a lot more natural. Um, but for sure, like it's not really resolving conflict. Obviously, that's another big thing that you need to be able to do as a couple. Um, but like it's definitely, can you actually sit down and plan together? Um, and can you solve challenges together? Because they that 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 is a key component, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you've spoken a lot about planning
Mm,
and the considerations you've had to make and the thoughts of the finances and all of that. So how did you plan your wedding?
yeah. Now that one is, I would say that's very tough, especially as a younger couple, um, who obviously, I would say we were definitely okay in terms of financially, but we definitely weren't like mid 30s, which is, I guess, the average age we get married. So it's much easier for them to probably wiggle in terms of like what they want. They know a bit more kind of thing. And obviously, because we're religious as well, it's actually a lot more pressure as well on the actual wedding itself, because it's actually like a religious ceremony as well. It's not just like a fun day where people gather. So there was a lot of things that we had to do beforehand. Actually, just planning for marriage in general. Like we did a lot of like counseling, speaking to people, and we actually took like precious time to actually like read through books, like whether that was like relationship advice books or like even Bible studies and stuff, just to get ourselves like up to speed in terms of being prepared for like what we're actually entering into, because it does change. Like you start off as like a couple and then you end up as like an actual married couple, like a signed sealed like, you know what I mean, like signed sealed kind of thing. Like it's actually formal kind of thing. So like it does change. When it came to planning the wedding specifically, what we did was, especially financially as well, what we did was we actually looked at what are the things that are most important to both of us on that day, because you only get married once, hopefully. So so yeah, yeah. So like we sat down and I think we prioritized like what was the most important things for us. And like for my partner, the venue was like super important. And luckily it worked out because I really wanted a nice venue as well. So that was like quite high up on both of our lists. And then you sort of like we went down from that, like what's the next most important thing. And then for my partner it was a wedding dress. For me it was like my suit. I wanted to look good, you know, like my haircut and all that other stuff as well. And then basically we just like basically went down that list, and then we prioritized like finances to that pretty much. So like we looked at our budget and said, okay, cool, like if the venue is the most important, we spend most money there, then we spend the second most money on like dress and stuff, and then we like knock it down basically, and then whatever's left at the end, which is like lowest priority, then that's what's left in it. Lowest priority will spend. And to be honest, I think that was like a really helpful thing to do. And we've been telling like people that are planning to get married, or like our friends as well, don't hold back on like the most important things to you. Like just don't do it. Like if like a videographer and a photographer is really important, don't go for like a cheap photographer. Like spend the money on like a good photographer, because like those are the things that are going to be, you know, like cherished with you. Like if the food's really important, I know like one person, the food is like super important for them, like a colleague, like yeah, blast out on the food, like so that you can remember like, yeah, I ate good like on my day kind of thing, if that's what's really important for you, you know. So
See,
that yeah, for
that's a
me
very
that's
methodical. What's the word?
meth
Methodical.
yeah,
Methodical.
methodical, that's it,
That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
very methodical approach to it.
Mm.
So I was getting confused with methodical and mythological.
Yeah, 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 very
Yeah,
similar words.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's a very interesting. Would you not say that's like a great approach to life in general, especially when you
yeah,
guys are planning and making decisions together?
yeah. No, in general that is probably the best. That is a very good
So
approach.
then that was kind of like a test run for how you guys are gonna
Yeah,
plan and do stuff in the future
yeah.
from
Not
that moment.
to be fair, yeah, like some of the people that we listened to, like, and also some of the people that we were having like our counseling with, they were literally like planning a wedding together is actually probably a great test to like how well you guys actually plan together in general, because there's so many things that you actually have to consider. Like you have to consider numbers, who you want to invite, family members, dietary requirements. Like there's a lot of things that go into it.
Mm.
So it's like, and obviously there's money involved as well, a lot of it. so so like you are literally almost seeing how well can you actually handle the pressure, because it is a lot of pressure as well. Like, you know, you're going to see venues, you're like having like crossfire between different families and what their wants are, what your wants are. So like it
Mm.
it is like a good test to see like, can you guys actually plan something?
How do you stand up to that when you're facing pressure from the extended family
Mm,
on how your wedding and your big day should be? How do you either navigate that and either bring it on board or tell them this ain't running?
yeah. Yeah, I think like at the start it's so difficult. Like because I think
Interesting.
yeah, because I think like your families will still see you both as like single entities, basically. So like
Mm.
they don't really,
Okay.
they don't really appreciate that you're building like a unit, like where you're both together. So that means that, especially at the start, like one family is kind of like standing for like what they think you want, and then the other family might be standing for what they think the partner wants. But really, it's like you guys are actually coming together to build something that you both want. So like actually, there's sacrifices being done on both sides, basically. And I think it's about communicating that like as much as possible. So especially in the wedding, like when my mum would say something like, "Oh, but Tavian, wouldn't you want this?" For example, like I was like, "Yeah, you know what, mum, like maybe I would, but actually, like it's not just about me. I actually have a partner now, and like it was the
Mm.
same on the other side as well. So it's like I'm not just doing it for me. It's like we're actually doing it for us. Like, and because you're doing it for like a unit, you're both making compromises. Um, so that's ultimately you have to get your like both families to like realize that. Yeah,
I had another question, and it's gone to my mind. Like it's left my mind now.
yeah, there
That's
is.
slightly annoying. It was about the wedding. Oh, yeah. Side question.
Mm.
What do you think about people who are getting married, host a wedding, and say no kids allowed? What are your thoughts on
Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. For me, first of all, you have to pay for every head. Yeah,
that?
I know it sounds harsh in it, but
No.
like
Okay.
at the end of the day, right? Like you have to pay for every single person. Like, okay, kids are normally a reduced rate, yeah. But if we're talking about inviting 5 kids instead of like 3 of your closest friends, then I completely understand why you're gonna say no kids allowed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like I completely get it. For us, it was much harder to do because of the religious significance and also the families we were bringing. So it was much harder to do it. But like, I've been to two
And the
weddings.
fact that both of you have like young siblings.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
young siblings as well, actually, because we're young. So actually, yeah, it wouldn't really have
Yeah.
made sense as well for us, actually. But I've been
Yeah.
to, I think, 2 weddings now where like, yeah, they didn't invite kids, and like that's complete for me. That's completely fine. Like at the end of the day, you know, you do have to pay for them, and if your friend is the mum, like the friend is the mum in it, like the extra head count can be annoying. I know that some people do wiggle it as well. So like if you want to bring extra guests, they sometimes like allow them to pay for their kids, and some people are willing to do that as well. To be honest, I think that is the best like in between where like, and to be honest, that's the best way to satisfy, because like some family members might want to invite someone else to like celebrate the day with them, but you might not be close with that person. So it's like if you do have the headspace, like if the venue can take like 100 people and you're only inviting 90 people, let's say, and there's like 10 plus ones that you can give out, as long as you're happy with that plus one, obviously it can't be like some random plus one that you fully don't know. I think that's like that's a big no in it, I think, for most people. But if it's like a plus
Yeah.
one where it's like, oh, it's my mum's friend, or like, she wants her to be there, then it's like, all right, cool. But if you're willing to pay for that, then it's cool with it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that is the best in between to like satisfy people. But yeah.
So what would you say to those again who are a bit selfish
Yeah,
who
yeah.
say just the noise, man. It's just the noise complaint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like especially having your 3-year-old who's scored that they can't eat some cake yet.
Yeah.
I'm saying my vows and here's wah in the background. To me, I'm saying that can't run,
No,
regardless of headspace, availability, or cost per head.
no, no. Listen, like, fair enough, innit? Actually, fair enough for me, because one of the things as well is, at the end of the day, if you're taking a video and you're taking pictures, and like there's like just some baby in your picture that's like crying or something, like you don't want any of that, do you? Like, if you don't want that, then just say no. You have to be confident to upset some people on the wedding.
See,
Like you have
see,
to be willing to upset some people. I think like you're not gonna meet everyone's needs, and I think that's why you have to make sure you prioritize like both of your needs. Like, what do you both want?
yeah.
And then
As long as you and your partner aren't upset,
That's it.
Everyone else can move, man.
Yeah. Everyone else can. No, honestly, that is the mindset. Everyone else can cut it. Like if you don't like the DJ, you don't like the food, you don't like. We don't care in it. Like as long as we're happy. At the end of the day, it's
Yeah,
your money, innit? At the end of the day, it's your money. Like you're bringing them in, like to celebrate with you, and most of the time you're paying for like a set amount of people. So, like they should just be happy to be there. So
as part
yeah,
like to celebrate your day
exactly,
with you. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Good, good, good. So all that wedding talk, how did you afford it?
Yeah, and that, to be honest, I chucked this question in there by myself because I think it's actually a good point and a good question. Like, especially for a young couple, normally if you're mid 30s, and a lot of people are doing things backwards now. The average age to have a kid is younger than the average age to get married. Average age now to have a baby in the UK, I'm going off stats seer, by the way. So like it says 30.9, with the average age of the father being 33 and like mothers being like around 28 basically. The average age to get married is generally around 38 for men and 35 for women. And then the average age for to buy a house is around 36. So like when you
Wait.
actually
What's the average age to get married?
average age was to get married 38 for men, 35 for women.
38 for men, 35 for women, and the average age to buy a house is 36. That actually makes sense to me though,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, they're in a relationship,
Yep.
they have a child,
They have a child.
then it's like, oh, we're a family now.
Yep.
What's more important, having a wedding or buying a house? Buying a house,
Mhm.
and then, so
Yep.
that actually makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like so it's kind of the reason why I'm saying it's like it's flipped now because like obviously historically what would happen is you would get married, then you would buy a house, and then you would have a kid. But that's because obviously
Yes,
back in those times, financially, like they were doing much better. So you
that
see how it's
still
like,
is the reverse.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the full reverse basically. So I think like for a young couple, especially in today's age, like it's actually really hard to do it in that order. Like it's actually
mm,
really hard. And I can see why most people do this in their 30s now because like you actually have a lot more behind you. You've been working for much longer. You've probably saved up a lot of funds between both of you. So it means that you can actually, yeah, have a kid, buy a house, and like splurge on the wedding and it kind of thing. Um, so like for us, what we did was we actually combined our finances very early on in our relationship. Now this is a risk, I would say. Like it's not right for everyone to do. So like you don't have to take this as advice. It is a risk. But if you know like the person you're with, like yeah, like I think I will want to get married to this person, it's a shout, I would say. And what we did was from like very early on, probably after a year, we actually started combining our finances. So we actually both opened up ISAs. We had a separate account where we like started saving for just things in general. We had plans to like we had other plans for that money. But what it did mean was that because we had like our pots and we were like both for saving and we both had intention for saving, it meant that when the wedding came, we actually had a good amount of money there, like saved up between both of us, which actually allowed us to have quite a nice wedding, I'd say, for someone who was 23. Um, so like that is how we actually did it. And then obviously after that, we we've always combined our finances after that as a married couple anyway. So yeah, I would say like it's a shout, but I would say it's a risk. The risk is obviously like if you guys do break up or something like that happens, then
long
obviously
day.
long day, very long,
Yeah, that's a long day.
very long day. So I definitely wouldn't advise it. But that's what we did. Yeah,
So you wouldn't advise it, but you did it anyway, and you just took the risk.
yeah, it's a risk. I wouldn't I definitely wouldn't like sit down and say, oh yeah, like you guys like combine your finances if you want a nice wedding. Like no, I definitely wouldn't say to do that. I would say if like we combine our finances early for other reasons as well. because we had like a long distance relationship. So actually, it made sense to put like a small pot aside that we both contributed to like allow for travel back and forth, to allow
Travel
for like,
fund. Okay.
yeah, travel back, travel forth, like in terms of like date nights as well and things that we used to do for like dates. We had a separate pot basically. But what we did do is like we had a commitment where we both had our own separate ISAs basically that we were pouring money into as well, and we were basically counting that as like, both of our money.
Wait,
Yeah,
you had a date pot.
yeah,
I like that one.
yeah. We still have that
Because
today.
that means no one's, oh, he's paying for it. It's
Yeah,
meant to
yeah,
be out.
yeah,
Who
yeah, yeah,
pays, the man or the
yeah,
woman?
yeah, yeah. That's
Interesting.
that's a little golden nugget, to be fair. People that we've said that.
No. If you have one as a married couple, that already makes sense. But I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
when you were dating, you had a date.
yeah.
How far in?
Ooh. I'll say it's around a year.
Around it. Interesting.
So it's still quite early
No,
on. Still quite early on.
that's a golden nugget.
Yeah. Like because what we did, we just said like, okay, cool. Like we both like to do these things. Generally, it costs around this much every time we go, or like every time we're doing activities. So how about every month we just put like that aside? It allows us to then like do things without ever thinking who's gonna pay, you know, X, Y, Z. And if we do end up going over a little bit, then generally, I would sort it. But it
When you
wasn't
say over, the pot was empty.
yeah, like if let's
Hey,
say
that's a
like
trip.
not yeah, it's a trip. Yeah, yeah.
That's a big spender.
But yeah, but generally like we would agree to go over as well. So like let's say like I don't know, we're doing an activity. It would generally cost like £50, let's say for both of us, let's say, and we had £50 in the pot, let's say. But then like we went out for a meal after potentially, and it was going to cost like an extra £20, let's say, or something like that. We would agree like, okay, cool, like we've gone over this time. So it's like an agreement kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does that then mean that the next date can only be when the pot has a substantial amount in it again? Then?
Yeah. So we used to manage it like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
we would,
no, like, the pot's empty, but we want to go out again next week. You actually kind of stick to the plan.
yeah. Stick to the plan. Like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, and
That's
to
good.
be honest, like some people don't even do that in their marriages as well. And to be honest, I think it's a good bit of advice. Like, agree to have a pot where you both actually commit time. It also forces you as well to actually continue the romance that you had before you got married. Because as I said, marriage is a lot of planning. So like
Mm.
actually stepping away from, oh yeah, we have to plan this and this, and actually going back together to actually have fun. It forces you to do it. Because if you have like, I don't know, £50 or £60 sitting there, like we should actually use like, and it's allocated to actually go out and do something, then yeah, you should go and use it to like go do mini golf or like go to the cinema, like do something with it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, I'll actually keep that in mind. I think that's a golden nugget that our viewers can actually learn from.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So to round off, I have an interesting question. It's a bit of a curveball for you, right?
Mm.
But I remember about 6, 7 years ago when I had this friend who once said to me that unless an angel from heaven comes down, shines light on him, points out a lady from the crowd, and says, that is the one. And then they have to read a scripture from the Bible and everything all in one, all in the space of 5 minutes for that to happen.
So like 30 seconds.
then apparently he's never getting married. So my question is, what advice would you give to that guy who was adamant, 100% adamant, he was never getting married?
Yeah.
So what do you say to that guy?
Yeah.
Now that we're here, 2025, what do you say to that guy from that I used to know 7 years ago?
No, that's a very good question. I think what I say to that guy, and I think for me, especially like then, I had a very closed-minded view, and also it was like there was a lot of risk at the end of the day. there is still a lot of risk with marriage in it. I'm not going to say that guy was completely wrong. There is a ton of risk with it, but actually the upside is actually much greater than the risk. And I think like I never actually used to look at what the upside could be. And I actually saw I was actually reading something. I watched a video actually recently as well, where people were talking about their marriages, like when they're like 80 or like 90, like very old couples, and all of them would say like a marriage is actually one of the, if not the like greatest thing, like greatest achievement that they would say that they've built in their life, because actually being able to prove to yourself that I can stay faithful, I can, commit myself to raise good kids. Hopefully, you can raise good kids. You have good grandkids. Hopefully, like you can build something that you can both be proud of. I think like having a companion like that throughout your life is the upside is much greater than the risk, I'd say. And I think that's what I'd say to the other person. Now, being on the other side.
Okay, interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. And I think that's a good way to round off.
Mm,
I did have one more question, but I'm
yeah.
not too sure how relevant it is.
Like to add to it, I would say, like, I was at my partner's graduation, and to see like both of her parents, like you could see like the joy that it brought them. Like my kid graduated with first class, like you could see that joy. Like at that point, the risk that they've, had to, the risk and the amount of investment and time that they would have actually had to put in to like raising my partner, all of that stuff, it's paid back in that one moment. If you know what I mean, it's like, wow, like, my kids become something. And that's where, that's the things that you don't see until you're like on the other side, I'd say. Like the joy that it can actually bring. Yeah.
I see, I see. I think as an outsider who's
Mm,
been your friend for a long time, I do think one thing we should explore, the final thing we should explore is how do you find a partner that aligns with you on these things?
mm,
Um, because you started dating your current wife when we were still living together, right?
yeah.
And I remember the first day when you mentioned even like mentioned her to me, and I still maintain that your wife actually kind of approached you or was chasing you from the very beginning. That's
Yeah.
I still maintain that. So, and you fall into the category of people who say they weren't actually looking for a partner at the time when they found their
Yeah,
partner.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true.
So, would you still give advice that to younger people, or even to people in our generation, that you either should look and should focus and have your own goals, or you should look?
Mm.
What would you do differently, or would you do anything differently?
I guess now I wouldn't do anything differently because obviously it's worked out. but like I would say like I think you need to do a bit of both. It's it's hard. Like I would say you have to do a bit of both. Like you should be open to actively looking for someone that you can build something with. And you shouldn't like, because if you don't, then you are kind of hoping that someone just spots, and interjects, which is like very unlikely, I would say. But at the same time, if you're
It's
so,
unlikely, but it happened for you.
yeah, but I think like everyone has their stories, right? Like,
That's
you get what I
true.
mean? Like,
That's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, like everyone has a story. Like every single couple has like a story of how they met. Like, oh, like we were both at this camp, but if all it took was maybe one person to say, oh yeah, I ain't coming to the camp, or like maybe on one specific day, maybe like, and they would have just never met. Let's say, like, I think each person's story is different, and that's why I would say like you can't fully replicate the other person or another person. I'd say like you have to be kind of in the middle where you have to be open, and I think putting yourself in environments where you can potentially find the right partner is perfect. So like I don't know.
Church,
Yeah. Yeah, like put
uni,
yourself. Yeah, put
Yeah.
yourself in environments where you're going to find similar like-minded people, and where you're going to find people that are potentially on the same wavelength to you. I'll definitely say that. Definitely consciously do that. But at the same time, if you put so much effort into doing that, then you could lose sight on actually what actually makes you potentially attractive partner in the first place, right?
Mm.
I think especially for men, that I heard, I think it was Jordan Peterson that was saying that, like, when you get married, like one of the worst things you can do, especially as a man, is like let yourself go. Because like actually the things that you put in place when you're single is actually what attracts your wife at the end of the day. Like your drive, your ambition, maybe it's going to the gym, or like it's like you being focused on like your own goal, your own ambitions. Obviously, when you get married, those things have to change. Like you're not going to be able to do exactly everything. You know, there's going to be some compromise, but like you should
Don't let
still,
yourself go.
yeah, like you need to maintain
Yeah.
yourself. And I think if you completely focus on, oh yeah, I need to find like a partner, you could come across as like desperate maybe, and like you lose focus on actually you do have things going for you, you know. So that's
I
what
also
I'd
think
say.
you adopt a bit of a confirmation bias too.
Mm,
So you find some of the things you're looking for, and because you're so desperate for it, sometimes people ignore the red flags
yeah, yeah, it's a good point.
because
It's a
they
good point.
want it to work rather than it working and fitting.
Yep,
Like the
yep,
way you described it, your wife when you met her, she she fit into your life,
yeah, yeah.
and that's what made it work,
Mm,
rather than you changing and fitting her into your life to
yeah,
make
yeah,
it work.
yeah, yeah. And you never want to do that as well, because I think people have, especially older people as well, there's certain things that they've said that I'm like, you kind of regret that. Like, I can
Mm,
hear it in your voice. Like, some people are like, oh, yeah, you know, like I had this opportunity to like travel X, Y, and Z, but you know, once I had kids, it's like, that sounds a bit, sounds a bit like regret rather than
yeah,
like, oh, yeah, like you know, having kids was important for me, so I didn't do that. It was like, oh, I could have done this, but because I had kids. And it's like, I don't think you should ever be in that position, because then you could potentially end up like frowning upon, you know, like a relationship that you actually spend a lot of time, money, effort in. So yeah, it's definitely
thank
about
you,
making
thank
sure
you.
that you both fit. Yeah,
Okay, well, thank you. I think that's a great way to actually end the interview. So thank
yeah,
you for sharing that insight. Like I've learned a lot from this actually, even though like we're very close friends. There's some stuff I learned here, especially the date fund. I
yeah.
like
The
that one
date
a
fund,
lot.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the date fund, yeah, yeah, you like that, yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully the viewers like they've learned something too about how
Mm,
they want to potentially approach a relationship, approach a marriage, and approach a wedding. Everyone
yeah,
has their own thing. They can take their own little golden nuggets from it.
yeah, sure.
So
Great.
yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.